everybody, it's Kyo Anime and Francesca, my co-host.
Hello.
And we're back for episodes 7 and 8 of the Fruits Basket final season. We both have read the manga, and so we save spoilers for the end. And yeah. So, and also in between two episodes, we're going to do like a little Hunger Games continuation game we've been doing. We're going to go over first episode 7, and it was called That's Right, It's Empty. We start out with Kyo and Kyoko, which I was happy they did that because I was like, they better do that because the way the last episode ended. But it's pretty much like little Kyo and Kyoko talking, and which we kind of already know that they've met back then anyway, and he asks her if she doesn't want to go back to Katsuya kind of part.
And,
Oh
yeah.
And
that's, that kind of hints at the fact that she had been, wanting to like kill herself and go see Katsuya.
Yeah, and then she even says kind of like how Toru is there now for her, so she kind of, like, in a way, like Toru did save her, so it's like affirming that. And then but then I liked when she said, like, Kyoko said something like, I wonder when you kids will find your answers to live or whatever. And for some reason, I don't know it's the same, but it made me think of, like, I can't remember what episode it is, but when Shigure was like saying how, like, oh, you're so young, you need to struggle because you're kids or something like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was with Haru at the end of that one episode. Oh, I think it was whenever he saw Rin and he kissed her and all that.
Oh, okay. But then it goes into pretty much Kyo saying how he always thought like he was living to hurt others because he's a cat, and it goes over again how his mom committed suicide, and the anime, it seems like I don't understand if he was actually there when she committed suicide, or if it's just like he's imagining it because he knows how it happened.
Yeah, I think that I have no idea, but
Yeah,
maybe he's imagining it. I don't know.
I hope he wasn't there. That'd be like, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Then we have like the whole nightmare kind of scene. Akio's mom is there, which was, I liked how they did that because that was, I don't think they didn't do that in the manga, but I liked it because like the two like dead moms, like so.
Bro, it was spooky.
Yeah, and like how she was like, "Oh, you can't go outside," and then she's like, "Come into the house," and the house was like the cat cage, and I was like, "Ooh."
Yeah, and it was all the like wiggly like curse bonds.
Yeah, yeah. She like where they're like he looks down and his hands are all covered in blood, and he sees Toru all like in a pile of blood, and that's like when he wakes up. And
yeah, that was upsetting to look at.
yeah, so and so it's pretty much just him thinking, he could hurt Toru too. And then we get to see Momiji though. I was happy. I was like, oh
look. Yeah, a moment of awe, and then back to the pain.
Yeah, and they're all like downstairs. All he's having nightmares. They're like just cooking like meat.
Yeah.
But then like we kind of get a little dialogue by Kyo, talking about like how, I think it was how he hopes that Toru, like he doesn't believe that Toru actually likes him or something like that. I guess what it was. But while he was saying this dialogue, Shigure is walking by in the Soma estate, and Rin grabs him, and I'm just like, no. So then we get some the scene of Rin and Shigure, which I actually really liked that scene. It was really, but anyway, kind of goes into other scenes too. But it's pretty much, he brings up about the box that's in Akito's room, and I think my favorite part, I knew about it, but I kind of forgot, is when Shigure is like, oh, but Rin, that was our secret. She's like, oh, well, you didn't seem like it was a secret. It seemed like you wanted me to go get it. And I'm like, freaking Shigure.
Yeah, for real.
Always planting the seeds. Like, so that was kind of his plan too, apparently. But then we go into like where Ren's kind of saying how Shigure doesn't actually love Akito. It's more just because of the bonds, and that's kind of like a fake love.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go into like Akira kind of story, and that's pretty much how pretty much Akira was Akira's dad, and like he was going to die. Don't know what of. He was just sick.
I saw a comment. I was on TikTok and people were debating whether she actually loved Akira or not.
Yeah.
And I said, well, yeah, she did, even if her love was kind of twisted. She obviously loved him with how obsessed she still is with him. Then some people were like, no, she just manipulated him for his power. I was like, but, you know, she, the whole reason she's messed up is because she was so in love with him that she didn't care about Akito, you know? Or basically, you know?
Yeah, I could see. At first, I kind of see like her being like bewitching kind of thing. Like
Yeah. I think that was just the framing, though. You know, when you think about it, probably genuinely fell in love.
yeah.
I think, in the anime they made it very more ominous than it was in the manga.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the manga, it was kind of played like, oh look, they fell in love and this would happen. But in the anime, they had this ominous music and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I also kind of wondered along the lines of like, I agree with you that like they fell in love for real, but I wonder if it was kind of her pitying him a lot too.
I would normally, I think that there's been a huge theme of pity recently.
Exactly.
But I think that, you know, she felt bad for him, but I'm sure it was real because if it was just pity, she wouldn't still be obsessed with him. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I think that, you know, her love is real, even if it's twisted love. You know?
she loved him because she was like obsessed with him. So like,
Yeah.
but I liked how she was just like a servant, and like
Hmm.
the old maid was there, and she was all like, "You can't be in love because you're just."
Yeah, and they almost had like a Cinderella story. Like it seemed like if it didn't get all twisted, you'd think like if this was just you just saw this for the first time, you'd be like, oh, the servant falls in love with the master and nobody else cares about him. Oh, it's like a beautiful love story. Like that's like a tale as old as time type stuff. Like oh, the servant and the master type thing.
Yeah,
They fall in love even though it's forbidden because she's just a peasant. But then it gets all messed up.
yeah, yeah, and I don't know. I mean, this like I don't like Rin, but also like this. Sometimes I do feel sorry for her, you know. So
Yeah,
uh,
she's got issues.
yeah, but yeah, then Akito was born, and we uh get to see like little Shigure and little Kurino and Ayame and
They were all so cute.
Yes. And I loved how they all kind of still acted like how you would think they would act, like
Mhm.
um and pretty much Kurino talks about how Akito is going to be raised as a boy and was wondering why, and Shigure tells them that because Rin is jealous, and that she's no longer number one, and all of that to Akira. And yeah, I love the part where like he's like, what? He's like, says, I don't remember what Kurino says, but he's like confused about what Shigure is saying, and Ayame's like, oh, he
Mm.
things that are complicated. Like,
Yeah, like too true. IMA too true.
yes, it was funny. Um, so, but then yeah, they talk about how the first time like they knew that Akito was going to be born, like Rin like did not look happy at all, and
Yeah.
like her face was like, or at least that's what Shigure noticed. So, and then Shigure says that like he pities her, and so yeah. Oh, and then we go into back to like Ren and Shigure having their conversation, and pretty much she tries to make the moves on Shigure again, and while he admits like he's attracted to her, then he like just says, "Oh, I just did that because I like imagined that's what Akito would be like if she was raised as a girl," and like smacks her hand away.
Yeah, for real. He was so savage.
I, I actually, when that happened, I kind of like, I was like, "Yo, Shigure!" I clapped. Fuck out. But I liked how he said like only one person should be haunted by Akira's ghost, and I was like, that was pretty good. I like that part. So, but then we see like the scene where Akira died. Ren comes in, is freaking out, and she thinks like she died alone, but Akito was with him, and so now Akito is like the new head. That's when Ren starts to, tell Akito that like she's useless and that she's a toy. I always think that's interesting because later, like when Akito snaps in front of Yuki, like she starts telling Yuki he's useless and a toy. So it's
Yeah, she's like projecting. Also, can I just tell you how dumb I was when I first read the manga?
what? What?
I thought so. Listen, don't judge me. I guess I just had no reading comprehension skills because I thought Akira was the god before Akito, and then I realized one day, wait, but then they couldn't be alive at the same time, and I'm just stupid.
No, I thought this. Sometimes I'm so confused. I'm like, who was the god before Akito? Then I'm like,
Well, the god was not reborn for a while. They said that it had been a while since the god had been born again.
that's true.
But then, I just felt dumb when I realized that because I was like, wait, how could they? It's like the Avatar cycle. Two avatars can't be alive at the same time. The Somas are basically just the avatar. The gods are just the avatar.
Well, I mean, I don't think that's dumb because I thought that at first too. I was like, well, he's the head of the family, so he must be God. Kind of thought.
Yeah. Okay, I'm glad that we were both in that. Sorry if I just called you dumb by extension by calling myself dumb.
So dumb. It's all good. Oh, I like the part where like I think then I think it's like Kureno comes in the room and Akito's with the box, and I like the part where like I don't know what it's funny because on the dub and in the sub, like all of a sudden, like I know like Akito usually kind of sounds like tougher, sounding, but like all of a sudden, like both the voice actors were kind of like sounded more softer, and like as she was talking to Kureno about like confessing all these sad feelings she's been having, and like
Yeah.
I like the change in her voice there, and she talks about when she first met Yuki and how like she could like show him off in front of her mom, and
Yeah.
the scene it makes so much more sense now because the scene where she like meets Yuki and hugs him and she like gives like an evil look. I always thought she was just like thinking something evil, but now it's like, oh, she was looking at her mom. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then but pretty much she like wonders when it all started to like unravel, and it's pretty obvious it's when Shigure left and when Yuki came with him and go into Shigure's plan of whatever.
Yeah, for real.
But then like they have like I forgot this part, like Ren says like, oh well, if like it's pretty much like a bet in a way of like if you lose, like if they like run away from you, you have to leave the Soma estate pretty much to Akito even. And I was like, I didn't remember that part. I was like, oh, so because she believes it's not there's no bonds and everything, and that's just all made up or whatever, and or it's not good bonds, which is true. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sucks when the person. It's like that meme where it's like heartbreaking news. The worst person in the world, just made a great point or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, she said you gotta grovel at my feet or whatever, and then leave.
Yeah. But then we have like where Akito kind of just talks about how like she really believed like it was gonna be okay. That's why she let Shigure go, live somewhere, and why she let Toru stay, and all that stuff. And but then she said like it was more like she was just praying in a way, and she just kept trying to tell herself it was gonna be okay, and how hard it probably was for her doing that. And because now they're all leaving, we get the knife scene. Rin comes in with a knife.
For real, it's crazy. It's crazy. I was gonna say bitch. Wait, I just said it anyway. Never mind.
Yeah, and she's like, "Give me the box," and and
For real, she don't even know what's in it. She's like, "It's Akira's, isn't it? Give it to me."
yes, and so I'll tell you something at the end. I went to the end for that, but like I mean, I guess I can because everybody's watched the episode already. But I remember like thinking like if I was like really smart and like didn't watch or didn't read the manga and watch the anime, if I saw like the scene where Ren's there standing with a knife and there's Akito, and there's Kuruno standing there. I'm like, obviously, I'd be like, if she charged, Kuruno would have just like walked between them anyway. Like, thinking about it, I was like, I feel like
yeah, true. So when I like that part in the manga shook me to my core. Like once we get to the stabby scene, like that rocked my world. I was like, what? Because I'm pretty sure it's like a page turn and then you see it.
yeah.
I was like, oh my god. It was crazy in the anime too.
Yeah. But for all that, yeah, Akito throws the box and it's empty. And then we have like a flashback of Akira pretty much like saying that he's happy that he left Akito for Rin, and that he wished that him and Rin could have like reconciled and before he died. And then then Akito's all like, oh well, he loved Rin more. And then the maid comes and is like, don't say that, he loved you more, here, take this box. And I'm like,
and like a lot of wait, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm like, why is this maid doing this? But go ahead.
Yeah, but like this is the least worst thing the maid has done in my opinion. Like
True.
Like, because with the other stuff, it's like, oh, I hate you, maid. I hate you, old hag. But with this, I'm just like, it was probably a dumb thing to do, but I don't think she had malintent. She was, like, trying to console Akito, but it was, like, not good for Akito's health overall, but she didn't know that. But, like, so, I don't like the maid, but this is probably my thing that I have the least. I hate her for the least, because I don't think she meant to ruin Akito's life with that box.
Yeah. And it made me kind of think of, like how Toru's grandfather calls her Kyoko.
Yes! It's, like, the same.
Yeah. So it's the whole, like, this, because they don't want them to break, they, like, do something that's, like, yeah.
That's not healthy.
Yeah. So, I mean, but it's with, they had good intentions behind it. So, but yeah, pretty much the maid says, like, his soul is in it. But then Akito picks up the knife right before she's about to stab Rin. Hiro's curse breaks, and that part was really good. I liked that. I was like, yay!
And it was so good. I was so happy for him, but it was like also sad. I love that mixture of like happy and sadness about the curse breaking each time.
Yeah, and he got to hold his sister. So
yeah, little Hinata, she's so cute.
And of course, his mom was just the best mom. So
I love her.
But then after that, like, so she doesn't stab Rin because of that, and the maids are like fighting, and I remember like how it like was weird because I mean in a way because they were like saying he for Akito, and now we all know it's a girl. Like when they were fighting, or he like, and I'm like okay, it felt kind of weird. And like Akito left, and so Kuruno followed her, and yeah, then we get the stabby scene.
Yeah.
I liked how she did say like she like half believed in the box, and I was what? But I'm like, when you're a kid, it's like when you like kind of believe like something could be true. I'm like, it makes sense. Like,
yeah, and she just held on to that belief.
Yeah. So, but yeah, then she just says like no one taught her any different. That was like her common sense. So how the heck was she supposed to know? And I'm like, exactly. So.
True. Like, obviously, you still didn't need to do what you did, but, like, I understand how she got this way and not. The thing about it is also, I saw some people talking about, well, Toru has trauma and she doesn't hurt people. And I'm like, well, yes, but they also have very different circumstances. Toru didn't grow up being told that she was God and that she had the right. Like, everything that Akito went through, it led to her. Like, I don't excuse what she did, but it makes more sense for Akito to be like this than anybody else with trauma. So when people were like, well, everybody else had trauma, I'm like, yeah, but they also weren't told that they were God and that they deserved to reign over everyone. You know what I mean?
Exactly. No, Toru was like loved like Kyoko doting mother.
Yeah, because for Akito, it was a combination of two things. It wasn't just that her mom hated her; it was that her father and all the servants told her that she was special. So when her mom said she hated her, she clung on to what the others said as a defense mechanism.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, then she like says how she wants like or well, Kurino like pretty much tells her like, oh, we can change, or you can change, you can learn, like, and we can, and she's like, she says, oh, that's too late, and then she pretty much, stabs him in the back, and and she says how his kindness has like hurt her because it's not helped her, or
yeah. I mean, she's right, but she shouldn't have stabbed him.
and then, well, she stabs him by saying because like his kindness is killing her, so like he needs to die.
Yeah, for Akito, I get where you're coming from. Kurino was kind of enabling you by staying with you, but this is not the way. I feel like I should be like more, oh no, but Kurino, I mean, I like him, but he's not one of my faves. So that sounds so bad. I'm still sad that Kurino got stabbed. I am. I'm sorry. I feel like I sound like I don't care.
I was still sad that Kurino got stabbed. Yeah, I liked him. I like him more. Like the anime made me like him more. But yeah, I'm not crying on the floor about it. It's just like,
Yeah, for real.
dude, like what the?
It's like he feels like discount Toru, not just male Toru, but like kind of discount Toru.
Yeah, true.
He's that great value. I still like Kurino. I just would have been sadder if it was somebody else, but I understand why it was him because Hanajima said kind people end up getting hurt because of their kindness. It's like the foolish, the most idiotic traveler. It all comes back to that episode, the hot springs.
Exactly.
Putting the pieces together.
Yeah, even and like Ogami is like on Akito ran away, like the maid's like, oh my gosh, Kurino, and he's like, oh no, don't worry about me, go after Akito.
Yeah, and some people mentioned that I kind of agree with. They're like, that seems like a dumb thing for him to say, but then you realize that Akito's literally a rampaging with a knife, so maybe yes, go after Akito.
Go after her and help him at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's probably thinking, oh god, she's about to go stab somebody else.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get why he said it, but on the same time, I was like, that guy is so nice. Like, he's just...
I know, for real.
he's, someone else.
It's so sad because, he stayed with her out of his kindness, but even Shigure basically said before, like, you're not doing her any favors by staying with her, you're just making things worse for her. Like, he thought he was doing the right thing, but it just wasn't.
Yeah. And we had the whole, like, dead bird metaphor thing with Uo.
Yeah. That was so good.
The part where she was just like, were you just tired? Like,
yes! Oh my gosh, it was so good. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, I love that.
Oh, goodness. And then, I'm trying to remember, there was something else that happened. Oh, they have Kia scene really small where he's about to go outside and she's like, Kyo, I need to tell you something. And it ended. Oh my gosh, when that happened, I thought like I'd do the next line, I was about to die.
I know, oh my gosh.
But then they did it and I was like, that was a good cliffhanger. But then I realized it's actually what the manga does. Like the chapter ends right there.
So They've just been doing cliffhanger. I'm so excited for next week because I know what happens. But I'm so excited.
But yeah, I like that. It was very intense. That's what I thought. I was watching.
Yeah, the rain and like the silence and that's the.
And then I just put liked episode, intense, clapped when Shigure smacked her hand.
That's so funny. Yeah, I love the episode. This whole season's been really good. I feel like people are complaining about stuff being cut, and I understand, but I still think it's really good. I think that it's just a roller coaster that keeps going up, and we're just waiting for the drop.
Yeah, exactly. Oh gosh. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do Fruits Basket Hunger Games. Yay!
Yay!
All right. So yeah, last time I'm gonna show like a picture of people who are dead alive, and while I'm talking here, and yeah, last time Kagura died, so that's all we have. We're gonna go until we have some people die again, and so yeah, let's proceed on to the. I think we're on the third. Oh no, second night or third day. All right. Kimi, Kyo, and Yuki cheerfully sing songs together.
Oh my god, what?
Mayu tries to treat. Mayu still has her infection. Rin climbs a tree to rest. A horse in a tree. Hana passes out from his.
Like how she did on the run.
Cosma cries himself to sleep. Aww. Toru tends to her wounds. Shigure receives fresh food from an unknown sponsor. Who did that? Kyoko receives clean water from an unknown sponsor. Akito, Ayame, Kakeru, Kisa tell each other ghost stories to lighten the mood. Poor Kisa. Like,
I know.
I don't know if she want to hear ghost stories. I don't know if she's...
The other theory kind of makes sense.
Help!
Oh.
Help! I've been stabbed! Hiro cries himself to sleep. Oh. Nao starts a fire. No one died.
Okay. Well.
Day 3. Ayame collects fruit from a tree. Kisa hunts for other tributes. Ooh, Kisa.
Oh.
Marine severely injures Kyoko and leaves her to die. What? Well,
Rin, you're not Kyo. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Shigure, Kakeru, Mayu, and Toru hunt for other tributes. Okay. I don't know why Shigure and Mayu would work together, but Yo picks flowers.
Aw, that's cute. He's getting them for Toru.
Exactly. No, Kureno. Kimi and Akito hunt for other tributes. That's kind of a scary group in a way, except for Kureno. Yuki sees rising in the distance, but decides not to investigate. Kazuma attacks Hana, but she manages to...
No, not her crush.
That's so true. Oh, Hiro dies!
No! Hiro, I was rooting for you.
I know! So who is your next person?
Kimi.
Okay, Kimi's still good. So, yes.
Who were your two people again? Kureno and who?
My two people were Kureno and Hikiko with that, and Hanajima.
Damn it. Okay.
Yeah, Kyoko and Hiro died this time around. So, do you want to pick someone else instead of Hiro, like, for your back?
No, it's you just pick two in the beginning and you see who wins.
Alright, then. That's what...
If we both lose both of our people and we still have a lot of game left, then we can both choose another person.
Yeah. Next, we're gonna talk about episode 8, which I call, like, it's the title is "I'm Disappointed in You," but I was telling my roommate it's more like the Kyo monologue.
For real,
it talks a lot in this one. But yeah, it starts out where we left off with Toru being like, "Oh, I have something to tell you," and then the opening happens, and then we go back and pretty much Kyo is like, "Wait, let me ask you something." And he pretty much like reverses the confession, is like, "Do you love me?"
Yeah.
And okay, so there's something about this whole scene that's really kind of funny. I didn't realize till like last year. This is sad. You can call me stupid here, but I didn't realize till like last year that Kyo was the one saying that. I thought Toru was like asking him if she loved her, and then I was like, wait. I found out it's not, and I was like, this makes so much more sense now.
Oh my god! How? What?
I don't know. The bubbles don't have any like little thingies to show who's talking, because the panel, like Toru's facing Kyo, like her back, like you see her back, and then you just see Kyo, and I'm like, so I thought she was talking to him.
Oh, that's so funny.
So this part, like, I was like, oh, now I know he's gonna say it. So,
oh my god, that's so funny. How'd you figure it out last year?
I was on Twitter. Someone like said it, and I was like, okay. I was like, that makes so much more sense when I saw it. So
that's so funny.
Because I was confused by that part, because she was like, I have to tell you something. And then she's like, do you love me? I was like, what?
I mean, like, that's so. Yeah, it definitely hits harder when it's Kyo saying it.
Because then he's like, because it was funnier because she was like, do you love me? And he was like, stupid. You know, like, how you... Of course I don't. Okay, you didn't say that, but like.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Anyway, but yeah, so he pretty much does say that though, because she just blushes, and then he remembers Momiji telling him about like, right, and
Mm-hmm.
then he pretty much calls her out and says like, I thought you loved your mom the most, and what happened to that? And then he just doesn't want to be there because he never does, and he walks out in the rain. He was like, it's serious when like Kyo walks out in the rain with no umbrella. I mean, you know what? That's
Yeah.
he hates water. Like, so.
These two just got to be dramatic 24/7 with each other.
Yeah, it's true too. But he's pretty much walking out and thinking how he keeps saying like, "Oh, it's so not fair," and of course Toru chases after him because she always does. He always runs away and she chases him.
Yeah.
And but she's trying to like get to him, and he's like, "You don't even know," and all this like really dramatic, like yelling at her, and then he's like monologue starts where he's like saying he pities her for loving him, and then he tells her the whole truth of the story.
Mm-hmm.
How he was pretty much there the day that Kyoko died, and how they met before. And then it showed the scene like where they met before, and I thought that was so cute.
I know.
I love little Kyo, but like I like how Kyoko like thought he was cute too because he was so like,
Bratty.
Patty squirt, yeah. How they had the same colored hair, kinda, and all that, and almost the same name. And then Kyo didn't want to tell her name because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she pretty much asks him like you should go home. Like you're so cute, you get kidnapped, and then he's like says her dead, and that his dad wants him dead, and then Kyoko like says that must be lonely, and knowing like Kyoko's backstory, kind of also she would connect to that somewhat. So it's like
Yeah, for real.
pretty much he talks about how he would go see Kyoko like randomly, and she would tell him like about her day and about Katsuya and Toru. He came the night when Toru got lost, and Kyoko was like crying, and she's like freaking out because Toru's lost, and then he's like, "Get it together, woman!" Funny. And then he makes his little like man's promise to protect her, which was cute.
I know.
So they do a little fist bump, and then he like runs all night, literally all night. Like next morning, he's still running, trying to find her, and then she comes back with like the hat and saying that someone found her, and of course that's when Kyo realizes that Yuki found her, and we go like to the flashback when his hat blew off in the wind and Yuki picked it up. And then we go into like where he like as a kid he starts telling Kyoko how like Yuki has everything, it's not fair, how it's all his fault, and he's a bad guy. And then Kyoko points out that Yuki saved Toru though, and he still doesn't want to hear that. And then she says how like obviously you just want him to be the bad guy, or you just want him to be that way. And she tells him like not to worry about people or things being good or bad because it's just too nice of a kid for that. And of course he pushes her, and I'm like, okay, Kyo, calm down.
Yeah, for real. I was like, what are you doing?
But he runs away, and then like she's like, oh, but I'm still gonna hold you to that promise. And so yeah, then he never sees her again until the day when car hits her, and he's
No, it's so sad. Like even looking at their little cute conversations, you just know how it ends, and you're like, oh god.
yeah. It's kind of sad. And then gets me is the part like where she got hit by the car scene. Like everyone else ran away. Like they saw the car, like they heard the car, they all run except her. I was like, was she?
Yeah, I don't know why they animated it like that. I feel like they should have just had her be the only one there or something.
Yeah.
Because when everybody's like, because obviously people get hit by cars like that all the time. They're just not. They're kind of zoned out. But like when they had everybody else run away around her, it just made it seem kind of weird.
But yeah, then he like realized he couldn't grab her because he would turn into a cat, But I liked how he said, like, instead of like, oh, I couldn't grab her because I would turn into a cat, it was like, because I'm not human. And
Mm-hmm.
that saying better, because I know, like, we had this already with, like, a couple times in the anime where, like, I know Yuki is like, we're human also, and Tori's like, of course you are. And so, like, the Zodiacs all kind of have that, like, little, like, am I even a human kind of feel to them.
Especially Kyo, because he's the cat.
Yeah, exactly. Kyo has it even more. So, said, like, he chose his life over hers, and that he hates himself, even though he hates himself, and he, like, wants to disappear, and that he always just runs away to protect himself. And I had, like, a moment, like, while I watched the episode where, like, I know, like, it kind of made me think of, like, Ritsu scene in a way,
Mm-hmm.
where he's, like, saying, like, he has the nerve to keep living and he doesn't know why, because he's like, feels like,
Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
that does come up a few times. That's really interesting, especially for Sarah like Ritsu,
yeah. I say,
who like never comes back.
it happens with other characters too, but I thought of Ritsu for some reason. I was like, eh.
Yeah, no, I feel. Yeah, I totally agree.
So there, we got to say something about Ritsu for once. Okay. So then he, like, again talks about how his mom kind of died the same way as Kyoko. And we get to see his freaking dad blaming him again. It always makes me mad.
Mm-hmm. And how it's kind of the parallel between how Kyo blames Yuki and his dad blames him,
Yeah, that's true.
and how his dad is kind of like, this is what Kyo could become basically if he doesn't get his shit together.
mm, yeah, that's true. And yeah, that's the one thing about, like, I hate Kyo's dad, but I like him, and I know people are like, he's ugly and everything, but I'm like, I can kind
He
of
is.
know it, like, I can kind of see, like, how they're related, even though like
Mm-hmm.
badly,
Poor
because
Kyo, he's the cat.
yeah.
You know, all this stuff, and his dad ugly compared to the rest of his parents.
But, like, the whole, like, where he's like, oh, it's your fault, son. I'm like, well, it's kind of like, that's what Kyo kind of does. It's like, oh, it's not my fault, it's that person's fault. So I kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, eh. But anyway, I liked the part where, like, it showed, like, little Kyo and present Kyo is, like, standing over him, like, while he's crying.
Mm-hmm. And he's hunched over, and
Yeah.
when it shows him in his school uniform hunched over, it's like that Valentine's Day episode where he says he has to hate Yuki, and
Mm-hmm.
Toru sees him, and she's like, it looks like he's protecting himself.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, call back to season 1, episode 10.
Yeah. But he pretty much is, like, telling his younger self, like, to admit it, that it's his fault. Next, they show, like, Akito running.
Oh yeah,
Running with the knife in the forest and just random.
it's like that. It's like that Vine where it's like, what do you have? A knife. That's Akito. I think I saw on the YouTube there's like fruits basket vines videos, and they made Akito that kid running with the knife.
Yeah. No, when we were watching at the end, when Kyo runs away at the very end, my roommate was like, "Why are you running?"
Why are you running? I'm glad that they, like, you know how sometimes a character will be like, oh, I'm so bad because I always do this, but you're like, no, you don't. You're like, they just think that they're doing that. Like, oh, I'm always thinking about myself, but you know that they're actually selfless.
Yeah.
I like that with Kyo, he genuinely does run away a lot. Like, he's, you know, they're not like making up a fake bad trait for him that he just believes he has. He actually does do that, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's true. But then we go back to, like, little Kyo again, and he talks about, like, how Kyoko made him feel, like, forgiven. But yeah, he tells Kazuma about Kyoko, and he thinks, like, the only person that wants him around is Kazuma, but Kyoko makes him feel like that's not true because at least there was her. And then then he, like, talks about how he saw that Toru, like, one time, and how she looked really lonely, and he, like, would fantasize about, like, he just wanted them to be, like, happy as a child. He just, like, really wanted Kyoko and Toru to have a good life, and that's why he went to their house that one night when she was lost, and made the promise and everything.
Yeah, and it just all went to crap after that.
And like then he talks about how while she was like lying there on the street in blood, she's like he thought she said, "I won't forgive you." Like he thinks that's what he said. She said.
Mm-hmm.
He said he like didn't know what to do. He like froze and ran away. But I'm like, I don't blame you. Like that's
Yeah, that's scary stuff.
scary.
It's traumatic.
And then we go to the mountains. Or Shisha took him to the mountains, so to help him just get over his suicidal thoughts and keep him living. And I always think it's funny because now when I watch like season 1, they're like, "Oh yeah, he went to the mountains to train." I'm like, "Yeah,
I was just, yeah, and I was about to say and then the old one they're like, oh, he was fighting bears.
yeah."
I'm like, no. It's so funny, like the contrast.
Yes,
And, like,
he said he like got better, but not really. But like what he started to do was he started to blame Yuki, and pretty much lived on his hatred about Yuki and made him the bad guy. And while he's telling this, Yuki's sleeping.
yeah, Yuki's just like, oh. Then he wakes up.
Yeah, everybody does wake up and come downstairs. Then we got about like where he like used that hatred to kind of like erase his memory, but he remembered when he saw the hat.
Yeah, did they do that in the manga? Say that?
Never had a trigger moment in the manga, so but I mean, it makes sense with the whole like he did live like on the manga. He did like live off of the hatred of Yuki, so I mean, it kind of makes
Yeah, but I found the whole like, oh, I erased the memory thing a little bit weird, just because like we see that he still does remember, like he in episode 14 of season 1 where he like leans into her and says, "I'm sorry" after the graveyard and all that.
Yeah. That's more of an anime thing, but it really doesn't bother me because
Yeah.
like, he was trying to forget it probably like the whole time, obviously, because he just.
Mm-hmm.
But then we talk about like when he goes to Akito and they make the bet, and that made him like need have a reason to hate like Yuki even more, and so he went to Gary's house to fight him, and of course Toru was there, and he was like, "What the heck? Why is she?"
Remember episode 3 when their whole hatred was Yuki is jealous of Kyo and Kyo's jealous of Yuki.
Yes.
And it's like the plum on the back, and now it's this.
Yes. So, and it always gets me because I know like the second episode with Kyo, he finds out it's Toru, and he's like, I don't think he does it in the dub, but like in the sub they show it where he like stumbles and he's like, "Why is she? I mean, a girl." Like he like acts like he almost knows her, and then
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's true.
so it's kind of cool when you look back at it, like when you watch it again.
That's wild. I didn't even realize that.
Oh, also, me and my roommate were talking about how like, like Kyo's he's a tsundere character, but like mainly towards Toru, but he has a reason to be like, no, stay away from me. So like, it's more just like I mean he is like that with other girls too, but that's more just because he doesn't want them to like hug him and
Yeah, there's no dairy there. It's just soon.
yeah. We were like, that's interesting because like maybe he's not as tsundere as we think because it's just more of us like, don't get next to me, Toru. Like no.
Yeah, to be fair, I'd love him even without that because I just love tsunderes. I know people hate them, but I just love them. I don't know why. Maybe I like people being mean to me.
I do too. I like tsunderes too.
Like everybody is always like, "Oh my god, tsunderes are so annoying," and I'm over here pretending that I agree, but I'm like, nah.
Yeah, they're funny to me. So
yeah, they are. I like them because they're usually like kind of dumb, and I love the dumb characters.
but anyway, and then we get to the scene where he's like asks her like not to forgive him, and then she says like, "Well, forgive you or not forgive you are those like the only choices I have." She says like she doesn't think her mom said that she wouldn't forgive him because it sound like her. And then she says how like she'd have to rebel against her mom. She said that because she just wants Takiyo to accept that she loves him.
Mm-hmm. Like even if she said that, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. And then we get the whole like episode line of "I'm disappointed in you," and
What do you think of disappointed versus disillusioned?
Yeah, I was okay with it.
Yeah, I think disillusion sounds kind of cooler, but also I know that some people probably don't know what the word disillusion means because it's not used very often. So they might be a little bit confused.
Yeah, I felt like disappointed made more sense of like it dumbs it down. Like
Yeah, but with disillusioned, it's like, oh, because disappointed is just like, oh, I'm disappointing you. But disillusioned, I think the reason I like it is because it's like, oh, I had this illusion of you. I thought you were this person, but it turns out you're not, and now I'm disillusioned. Like, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I
no,
think it kind of cuts deeper, but overall, I'm fine with the change because I think more people will understand it.
yeah. That's what I was thinking too. Because I remember like the first time I read it, I was kind of thinking I was like, I thought he meant like, or he was. I think I read like the original, like the very first time I read it. It was like the other translation, like I
Oh
don't,
yeah, it's like the what is it, the Yen Press, or is it different?
I don't know
I
which
forget. Tokyo Pop versus Yen
yeah,
Press or something.
pop or whatever. And I think it was, and I think it was instead of like disillusion, it was like your love is a disillusion or something. It was really weird. I was like,
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's a weird one. I think I remember. I heard about that. I heard it's
that
kind of weird.
confused me because I was like, so wait, her love is not real. What I was like, what is
Well, I guess he's saying. Well, I guess your love is a disappointment. Like to me, like your love is disillusion to me.
yeah? And so,
Maybe, but yeah, I think I'm disillusioned is my favorite for me personally. But I think I'm disappointed was probably the best choice for the most people to be able to understand.
yeah, and I mean, he does say disillusion like in Japanese because people who like know Japanese have told me so. Like,
Yeah, and they mean very similar things.
yeah, but then he runs, and why are you running? And, and then Yuki comes out. I'm telling you, I was technically Yuki is like the hero sometimes of this show. Like,
Mhm.
comes out
For real.
like Toru, go inside, get clean, get dry, and then he runs after Yuki and goes, not Yuki, he runs after Kyo and goes the wrong way, and everyone's made fun of him for that. But like,
Well, he didn't know. He did his best.
I know. And,
Then Akito comes up the hill.
yeah, then Akito comes with the knife still, and at the end, like, while he's running away, Kyo says like, even though he knows sometimes you don't have time to apologize, like he's like still running away, and it's like
Yeah, like implying that she might die like Kyoko.
exactly.
I was like, oh my god.
So yeah, very very. I think I liked for some reason I like this episode because like at least we get the whole backstory. But I think I liked Seven a little bit more just because it was like really intense.
Yeah, I think this is my fave just because I don't know. I think it was so well executed, but I love Seven too.
Yeah, my two favorite episodes were these so far. So
Yeah, they're so good.
well, thanks a lot for anyone who is listening or listened. And next week we'll be doing episode 9 and 10, which is crazy. It's almost flipping over. But anyway,
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry when it's over.
I know me too. But yeah, so make sure you subscribe, go follow Francesca in the description, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
All right, spoiler section. You got it?
Okay. Yeah. I am excited for next episode because I know everybody's like, Akito better not lay a finger on her. So I'm excited to see their reactions whenever they're like, oh, Akito doesn't, and actually they kind of become friends, but then Toad falls off a cliff.
Yeah, I know. Same.
I'm so excited. And then I can bring up the fact that Hana basically foreshadowed Toru and Bruno's hurt by saying that people like them will get hurt in the end.
Yep. And say I just wrote like next episode excited, and the same. Then also while we were talking about it, because I've thought about this before, but it's like really spoilerish, but like I like to talk about it. Is like we were talking about how Kyo always runs away and Toru always chases after him, and I'm like, but it's so cool because at the end Toru's running away and Kyo is chasing after him.
True. Oh my god, you have big brain.
I've always loved that concept of it. I'm like, that's so cool.
Are you ready for the Toru hospital arc?
No.
Where she's just in the hospital for like 10 chapters.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm wondering if they're gonna like stick some random Yuki scenes while she's in the hospital, or like,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, yeah, that's probably what's gonna happen.
I mean, that's what some people have been saying, and now I can kind of see it. I'm like, yeah.
It's so the structure of Fruits Basket is so funny because especially this third season, it's like ramping up all this crazy stuff. Oh, climaxes. Toru falls off the cliff. Then it's like slice of life stuff at school for a bit. Toru's in the hospital. It's fine, and then we get the big climax.
Yes, exactly. So,
It's such a strange structure. I haven't ever seen in a story.
oh, I also kind of liked how, so like at the end, so much is happening. Like we know they're cursed, but you kind of like forget that they turn into animals because they haven't been like.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's kind of funny because like when Kyo reaches out for Kyoko and he's like, "Oh crap, I'll turn into I'm not human." Like I don't know, it just makes you go, "Oh, yeah, that's right,"
True.
because you haven't seen it happening, and you're just like, "Oh, that's a thing." Duh.
Yeah. Also, something very thematically interesting I was thinking about the curse. Once we get they're not going to cut out the Zodiac backstory, which is the original god, right? Yeah, because they foreshadowed it with the beginning of each episode of season 1
Yeah.
and season 3. So it's going to be in there. I'm super excited for that because when you think about it, the curse is all about, oh, we're going to stay together forever. We're just going to love each other, the bond. And the curse manifests and they can't hug people who aren't cursed. So basically, it's like, oh, well, you can only love each other because that was the original promise, was to stay together forever. So you can't show affection to anybody else. Because hugging is one of like the biggest forms of affection.
Yeah, that's true. Wow.
So it's like the reason, like, because you'd originally be like, why did they transform when they're hugged? That's so weird. It makes sense with the whole theme of like the bond and stuff. Bond.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. That's one of my favorite chapters when we see the original story and why the cat is cursed.
Yeah, that, and I think I don't know if it was that chapter, but it's like towards the end where like they explain why Kyoko said what she said to Kyo, like I won't forgive you,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope they
I
kind
don't keep your promise.
of what?
Yeah, I won't forgive you if you don't keep your promise.
Yeah, yeah, and I hope they like explain that, and I guess they will,
I'm
but
sure they will, because it's such a big part of the story.
yeah, I mean like they like really nailed it like a lot, and I was like, well, that's obviously they had to do that for like the episode we just watched because she said that, so like it bothered him.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure they're gonna keep it in. Like the stuff that the people are upset they cut stuff. I'm like, I don't really care about Kakaru and Toru content, you know?
I was like thinking about that too. I was like, wait. Well, the only reason I thought about it is because they did like sometimes clue, like in the anime, like Kakeru.
Well, they actually cut out the clue that Kakaru knew her.
Not,
Because every time, because in the manga it was like he said something about recognizing her, or
yeah, he did. They did cut out that, but I mean, it's not really clues, but he like did ask him a lot about Toru, and he's like, why?
yeah, but that's what I mean. Because those times that he's just the parts where they kept in, it's mostly stuff about where you could just assume he's talking to Yuki because he knows that she's important to him and he wants to know more. But they cut out any explicit clues that are just about Kakaru and Toru and not Yuki being involved.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
And I don't really care about Kakaru and Toru's story. I thought it was very random.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was so funny because
I was like, okay, Fruits Basket, not everything has to be connected.
again, I was saying to my roommate how like the most like natural to me, the most natural like relationship in Fruits Basket is like Amachi and Yuki, and because they just meet each other and they're like, hey, they're kind of cute, hey, and then like yeah, they both have tragic backstories and all that, but like, and then I was like, but and I told her like how everyone else is like always some weird like Kyo and Toru now it's like they knew each other but they didn't know each other and all or like weird stuff, and like she was like, yeah, like Machi, like at least they didn't like have any connection, and in my head I was like, well, technically. And then she's like, what? And I'm like, I'm not gonna tell you because I don't know if they'll show it, but I don't think they will. I was like,
Yeah,
kind of like a really small, very distant connection.
and like I feel like there's not very much thematic importance there because it's like Toru, you only care about yourself and your trauma, and it's like no, she doesn't. Yeah, she obviously cares about everybody else. It's fine.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm fine. I don't think that's a bad. Like the Kakaru and Toru stuff's bad. I just think it's probably the weakest thing, and it's fine that they cut it. read the Kyoko backstory because it adds to Kyoko's character, but it doesn't add to the plot. And also, I just don't want to see her being groomed by a 23-year-old at 14.
Yeah, like as the last time though, I would kind of like to see the part, like even though it's sad, where she like goes, "Oh my gosh, yeah, Toru," and runs back home.
Yeah, that's the only part I want. I just don't want to see their love story.
Yeah, I get you. All right, I think that's it of my spoilers.
Yeah, same.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for anyone who is listening or listened. And next week we'll be doing episode 9 and 10, which is crazy. It's almost flipping over. But anyway,
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry when it's over.
I know me too. But yeah, so make sure you subscribe, go follow Francesca in the description, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.
Bye. Bye.